We are live.
We are live.
Hot mic, hot mic.
Hot mic.
Just a second, let me just make sure.
Well, I'll yap until then. Good evening, guys. We're back. It's been a week. It's been a long week of celebrating. We're excited. It was a lot of fun down in Atlanta. I hope you saw all of the content that rolled out from on the KSR YouTube page right here, hopefully, from KSR's own Steven Peake. We had an absolute blast. We got to hang out with Caleb Wilson, got to hang out with Jasper. Oh, look, bright light. And then obviously got to watch a really, really fun victory for the Kentucky Wildcats over Duke. But now we look to avoid a little bit of a hangover as Zach is getting rolling, putting laptop away. But a big opportunity to avoid a hangover. All the talk leading up to the Duke game was, can you not look ahead to Duke and focus on beating Bucknell first? They took care of business. Now we worry about those lingering celebrations for Duke, Zach, in focusing on the Lipscomb Bisons, which I'll complain about Bisons and the plural behind Bisons because I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But the Lipscomb Bisons are here at Rupp Arena tonight.
Aren't they the Jacob Lipscomb? Or what was it? David Lipscomb?
David.
What was it? David Lipscomb. Yeah, you've got a week off between games. You kind of want to avoid the hangover situation that we saw from the women's team last night. But, you know, they only had a 2-day turnaround, which I thought was a little bit ridiculous that it was that short. The men have had 7 days off, so there should be really no excuse to come out not ready for this one. You've had a week to prepare now, and, you know, this is a good shooting team, this Lipscomb team. That's kind of their bread and butter. They're just going to shoot up a lot of threes. They haven't really hit any this year, so I guess you're only
So you say they have a lot of shooters, not makers, maybe, potentially?
One coach in Arkansas might say something similar.
Yeah.
I bet you that comes up in those little our new daily routine of watching the post
Hey, we're not allowed to talk about them, you know?
Oh, that's right. My bad.
For whatever reason, it's just become a taboo
topic. I didn't even say
topic.
his name, so it's whatever. But yeah, so you want to prevent them from having their hot shooting night, which, you know, they're bound to happen. I think the lowest threes they've hit this season is 9. They pretty much regularly get into the double digits with threes. So
one of the most efficient teams in college basketball last season.
There you go. Yeah, and they got 2 all ASUN preseason guys.
Ognesevich?
Something along those lines. He's 6'8". He missed all of last season with, I didn't see exactly what it was. Everything just said knee injury. It all said knee injury.
General soreness.
Yeah, general soreness right there with Captain Shibwe. So I guess he had like an ACL tear or something like that last year.
We're just making up injuries.
Well, he had everything said a knee injury. When
he broke his spine.
You think he had a little bump and bruise on here? The guy probably tore his ACL. If he didn't, then I apologize. And he's back anyways, and he's lighting people up. So he's averaging 27
Cracked skull
on his knee. He's all good now, though, and he's really good. So he's the guy that Kentucky will have to worry about first and foremost. Andrew Carr will probably draw that assignment early. Lipscomb pretty much plays an 8-man rotation, but half of those guys are pretty much their main 4. They have 4 guys that are like in the 32-minute range. The other 4 guys kind of don't play as often. They'll fill in like 2 of those 4 off the bench will shoot. So I guess 6 of their 8 rotation guys will all try and shoot the ball. But it's going to be very, first 5 heavy, I guess, or first 4 heavy, and they're going to kind of lean on those guys the whole way. It feels like that's probably part of the reason they have all these late-game giveaways that they've had so far this season, where they're just kind of coughing things up at the end, especially against Arkansas. That was really close until like 7 minutes left in that game. Maybe they just don't have the legs to get there, and they've played a pretty tough schedule so far. So I could sit here and talk about Lipscomb forever, but what do you got, Jack?
Yeah,
this
game does not favor Lipscomb from a depth perspective. Like Zach said, they are extremely top-heavy. They're top 5, very, very strong. 4 of them averaging 32 minutes or more. 8 of them at least 12 minutes, I believe. And then beyond that, it's basically nobody else playing. It is those 8, and then really the top 4 are scoring threats, and beyond that, it's, you know, nice depth pieces. But this is a game for Kentucky to really get out and run, get that fatigue rolling for them, and you know, they want to turn this into a track meet. Like, this is one of those games where if, you know, the fact that Kentucky has 12 scholarship players that can all play, probably an opportunity to see all 12 of them get after it and run them to death and basically, you know, probably keep it tight early and then really just, roll things out late in the second half into what should be a 20-plus point victory. The spread right now is minus 21 in Kentucky's favor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I remember the spread this morning was like 20.5, so I guess it's already gone up just a tiny bit. But, yeah, I think you're going to see a second-half blowout performance here from Kentucky, and that's kind of what you'll expect. Like I said, you want to avoid Lipscomb getting hot early. You want to focus on Ogzenovich. I don't know how to actually pronounce his name, but and then the other guy,
Bogdanovich,
and then their other guy, the other preseason All-Sun player. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's averages like 13 or something points a game. I know from reading Brandon Ramsey's scouting report, this is a big Princeton offense team, so they're just going to try and maybe wear Kentucky down in the half court and just see if they can find buckets late in the shot clock. Kentucky really hasn't faced a team like that so far, I don't feel like. Most of the teams have kind of been wanting to get up and down, so that'll be kind of an interesting change as well there. Guys you want to see have big games tonight? Anyone in particular you're looking for? We got our Andrew
I have
Carr,
one.
Down the stretch game against Duke. What are you thinking tonight?
And
why'd you say it like that? That was kind of funny.
It's Jackson Robinson.
Okay.
Jackson is a guy that has really struggled to emerge from an offensive perspective the way we all expected, with him going through the draft process, with him, thoroughly exploring that route to the point of up to the deadline, not knowing if he was going to return to college or keep his name in the draft. To be that guy that close to being a pro, I think he was probably expecting a little bit more when he came back, at least on the offensive end. So, he's shined defensively. Mark Pope did a really good job of, coach speaking it up, if you will, to say, hey, as limited as he was offensively, he was absolutely crushing it on the defensive end. Yes. Only allowed 2 points in the entire game against Duke, although he only had 1 point overall. So, there are some questions about the body language and if he was, kind of in the right headspace and some of those questions. I'd really just rather not let that become a long-term season thing.
Yeah.
Let's just nip that in the bud. Let's let Jackson get going for a 30-point night or whatever and kind of just move past the early season struggles because he is very clearly not that guy.
I was worried about Steven there on that little dip down.
I was wondering as it gets darker, as the where it's a little damp out, there's a little drizzle out.
Yeah, is
this going to be the night for Steven to fall on his butt?
Well, there will be a nice icy afternoon in February where I'm sure the odds will go up on that one. But yeah, not a great night out here in Lexington, I will say.
It's pretty ugly.
We're interested to see how the crowd was. I don't know what it was like at the bar when they were doing the pregame show, but it sounded like it was rowdy. So we'll see if we get a nice big crowd to kind of celebrate that Duke win. But yeah, obviously, I want to see a great night from Jackson. See him kind of step up and assert himself a little bit more than he did.
What would be a big night for him, do you think?
I mean, maybe big night was the wrong word to use, but if he can just get into double digits and just kind of not look like he's invisible for large chunks of games, which I feel like we have seen pretty regularly for the first 3 games, even though I think the first 2 games he ended with an average of 16 points or something, but didn't, all of those kind of came in bulk in scoring stretches. So we'll see if he can put a full game together. I don't think Kentucky will really need it, honestly. He can have a good first half, and then they can get a situation where Jacob Polachek can finally see Trent Noah come in and hit a couple threes. This is one of those games where that might end up happening. But like I said, Lipscomb is not a bad team at all. They are predicted to win the A-Sun. When I was looking at their Ken Palm opponents and stuff like that, the first 6 opponents that they play are all top 150, I think. Maybe one of them was out of the top 150. They don't play a top 150 team after Kentucky the rest of the season. So they are top heavy. They are loading up their schedule early on, trying getting themselves ready for that conference play where they will probably try and run through it all. So this is just another good test for them. They're going to come out ready. I assume they'll put a big focus on Jackson, expecting him to come out and have a bounce-back game. So we'll see how they guard him and deal with him. They're not very tall, Lipscomb, I will say. They're actually pretty small. Their 5-man is 6'9". Lamont Butler is bigger than their 3-man.
Yeah.
Actually, their 3-man is 6'3", 195 pounds. Lamont's 210, 6'2", 6'3" range. So size, it'll be all Kentucky. They should have pretty much every advantage you could think of in this game. It's
Amari Williams, this could be a field day opportunity for him.
This could be triple-double watch for Amari Williams. I'm saying it. I think my hot take
is that your MVP?
Amari?
Although
if he gets a triple-double, then he has to be. I think that means Jackson scored 40 or something.
over rebounds and points. It's 19.5. Give me the over every day on FanDuel.
Amari?
Yes, on
19.5. You heard it here first, so I actually like that bet. So if he gets the triple-double, Jack, we're all eating
that's free
nice
money,
at,
if you will.
at Tony's.
Triple-double, we're going to Jeff Ruby.
Are you buying?
Jeff Ruby.
17.5 for the Duke game. Freest money I've ever made.
Look at this. We're getting free betting advice on the way to Rupp Arena, folks. Where was I? What was I even saying?
I don't know, something really important.
They play Ken
Yeah, there we go.
They play bad teams the rest of the season. So you've got your bets there. Go ahead and lock in the Amari Williams double-double.
Did the Arkansas game teach you anything about this Lipscomb team?
No, and I actually did watch that.
I did too. So they had it down to 6 points with 7 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
Had it even closer for the majority of the first half. It was a really, really tight head-to-head matchup.
And then car seat.
And
they're
then
in the crosswalk anyways.
Obviously, the talent won out at the very end. I'm expecting something similar, but hopefully not as ugly to get to that point.
Oh my
where
God!
things
Look
spread
at
out.
this.
Bringing in the closer here.
Go ahead and all right, Brandon. I don't know.
Mariano Rivera, here he is.
The Princeton-style offense that this team will run tonight. Give us a little bit more of the taste of what we should see from the Bisons.
The Bisons, yes, not the Bison, the Bisons.
I hate that.
It is pretty traditional Princeton-style stuff. Like there's going to be a lot of back cuts off the ball. That's something to pay attention to. They haven't shot the ball great yet this season, but I do think they're a pretty darn good shooting team.
They're due.
Last year they were 12th in the country, I think, like they're over 38%. This year they're still kind of trying to find their footing, but they've played a pretty good schedule. So it's always tough when you're guarding a Princeton team where you kind of want your guy to have the ball. You don't want to get back cut, but obviously you also have to get out there and take away the three. So that could cause some issues. They're a team with highly skilled 4s and 5s. So you're going to be you're going to see Andrew Carr, Amari Williams, Brandon Garrison having to get stretched out to the perimeter and guard some. But it's one of those things like the great feeling this year is nobody's going to be surprised by it. Like everybody's going to have walked through this all week. You've had an entire week.
Mm-hmm.
You've had an entire week to prepare for it, and the Cats are going to be ready.
Awesome.
Brandon, is there anything to be concerned about with hangover? Like, do you think the 7-day stretch is enough to feel good about, kind of not celebrating the Duke win a little bit too much and being able to kind of turn their attention toward, next competition?
Right. I think the most important part about that is you've got a team of older guys. Like, this is not a team that's going to sit down and, think they're sweet, think they've got it all figured out because they beat Duke last Tuesday night. This is a team that I think they've all experienced highs and lows. They've had bad losses. They've had great wins. You're not going to have a team that comes out here and is complacent tonight, I don't think. This is the first time we're really going to get that test. But I'd be very surprised with, 7 graduate seniors and the way this staff prepares. I don't think you're going to see that letdown that some, especially younger teams, would potentially have.
Did you learn anything from the Arkansas loss, how that unfolded, and to tell you anything from a talent perspective about what to expect tonight?
I think that their 4-man Ognisevich, he's awesome. He is very similar to Andrew Carr. Like if he had another year, he would be playing at Kentucky next year. Like that's how good this guy is. There are other players. It's like a lot of mid-major guys. Like they're just a little undersized. They're not quite as athletic. They're a step slower. They do have some skilled guards, and those guys were able to do some things, especially, let's face it, I don't think Arkansas was as well prepared. Like, let's just say it. That's just the way that it was. And I think that you'll see that preparedness tonight from Kentucky, and having that week, we just talked about the week layoff. Well, the week layoff gives you time to prepare for a skilled, talented offense that's a little bit different.
Yeah, we kind of talking about before, like maybe the excitement factor with the crowd would have been better for a Friday night, Saturday night kind of immediate follow-up, but I do think there is something to be said about the preparedness to kind of give us a little bit more of a layover until Tuesday, and crowd might not be as into it tonight, but I think the preparedness is going to pay off.
We'll be into it, though. I can promise you that. Let's do some score predictions, MVPs, and get out of here because it's raining and not very fun. So, Jack, you want to start? What are you thinking?
Going Kentucky 90, Lipscomb 65.
Cover.
And I'm going Jackson Robinson as my MVP. I think he has the bounce-back game we are all waiting for with him.
Well, I'm glad you said what you said because my score all day has been 88-65, so we weren't quite the same.
Nice.
And I had Jackson Robinson, but I'll switch it up just for the sake of it. let's go back with Andrew Carr. I think that he's going to see that he has a really tough matchup tonight. And I think, the last 3 minutes, I just said this on Twitter, the last 3 minutes against Duke, Andrew Carr is the best player on the floor with future pros, all these different guys. I think you're going to see him carry that over and have a great game tonight.
I think with just the way that Lipscomb plays offense, it might be hard for Kentucky to get to 100 points, but I think they do.
Ooh,
I'm going to say 100
like
to 72. Kentucky blows this game out in the second half. They hit 15 threes. That's where I think a lot of this scoring is going to come from. Amari Williams, double-double, 8 blocks.
Triple-double? We had free money from that fan.
No, he said double-double.
He said triple.
No, he said,
you
said 19,
we were, gotcha.
19.5 for points and rebounds. That's free money for Amari tonight. Absolutely. I agree with that guy. But I'm going to give him the blocks for 8. He's not getting a triple-double tonight, but one player on this team is getting a triple-double this season. That is Zach's take of the night. Any other final thoughts, gentlemen, before we part?
It's going to win. Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Couldn't agree more. Let's see you inside.